Hello, hello, hello. We are making a video together, my baby dog and I. And today we want to talk about puppy training. That has been on my mind. I have been wanting to make a video, a more detailed video on puppy training. Yes, in Tügen. My artwork is finished. The repair work is finished. It looks amazing. I cannot show Paul. Okay. Yeah, it looks amazing. I did a good job on it. So, I also took photos of it. My update photos for this art project, which is 2 pieces. Call it a duplex, and I'm gonna put those photos on Facebook. I'm gonna add it to my photo collection. I like Facebook better than Instagram, so I don't know, Instagram doesn't really work very well for me, so it's okay. Facebook works very well for photo collection. And the way it shows your new photos on your timeline, I like that better, where people can comment. It's a better setup, I think. So yeah, I add a lot of my paintings to my Facebook photo collection. So I want to talk about puppy training because I think this is very, very important. A lot of people don't know how to train a dog, particularly not a puppy. So this is very important information that I give now. We have a lot of experience now with dog training, puppy training, adult dog training, deaf dog training. So I have something to say on this subject. First of all, for those people who are very, very busy, people who are working somewhere, professional people that are working 8 hours per day in some kind of office, do not get an animal at all. Don't get any animal. Don't get a cat or guinea pig either. They all get lonely and they suffer when they're alone. Don't do that to the animal. Okay, so if you have any animal, you have to be there with that animal at all times. Particularly if you have a baby animal, okay, it's very, very important, even a kitten. So people always say, oh, cats, they're more solitary. Cats need love too, okay? They really do. I have lived with cats, I know for sure, okay? I lived with Siamese cats, and like the ones that have very, very short hair, like velvet. They are very much like dogs, 100% like dogs. You cannot leave them alone. I lived with my friend Linda and her 2 Siamese cats. One is almost like a Sphinx cat, and the other one is beige. That's a different type of Siamese cat. Female and male, neutered cats that are living together. And when you have 2, then it is definitely better than just one. So 2 cats together, they give each other company, they lick each other, they groom each other, they make each other feel safe and not alone. So if you have to go shopping, if you have to be gone for 3 hours, but I don't recommend for people to go longer than 3 hours when they have 2 cats. When they have 1 cat, they should not go anywhere. If you only have 1 animal, don't leave that animal alone. I mean, with a cat, maybe you can go shopping, you can be gone for an hour, that's probably okay. but not more than an hour. So that's just my personal recommendation. And I've seen so many lonely horses here, and from here to the other house. It is heartbreaking. I have gone from door to door. I have given people information on how to handle horses and what to pay attention to. And one time I left my email address, and that lady promptly wrote me back an angry email because she is an expert. Yes, obviously not if she has her horse there alone, right? That's not very expert. I'm sorry, They take offense when you correct people. We all know this already, so this is what happens. People get very angry. That's why we have to be careful how we approach people so that they actually hear the message and not take total offense, and then the brain is crowded with this emotional hurt that the other person knows better, right? So that seems to be terrible for people's egos, So, but no, and I wrote her back and I said, I'm an expert on horses too. I grew up with horses. I have even a horseback riding, outdoor jumping, riding certificate that I got. I have information. I know things about horses, different horse breeds and their needs and so on. So I'm very, very knowledgeable about horses, and she should take my advice. And then she didn't write back, but I don't know if she took my advice. It's very sad. And one time I knocked on someone's door. That was a woman from Holland that was living near my friend Joanna out there. And that lady had a horse there, a female horse standing all by herself. Every time we drove by there, I saw that female horse standing there with the head hanging really low. Like she was so incredibly depressed. It was heartbreaking, made me cry. And I wanted to give her this information sheet as well, but I also knocked on the door, see if someone's there. If I can talk to them in person would be better. And I gave her that information, and that lady, I don't know what she thought. She thought I was some kind of animal control officer or something, or some kind of dog pound officer. And so she tried in a very narcissistic way to get on my good side by speaking German with me and trying to bypass that radar, and there was nothing to bypass any kind of radar because I wasn't radaring in on her in any authoritarian way to begin with, but people misunderstand, okay? So one person gets mad, the other person tries to get on their good side, and the other person, whatever, threatens, or one person gets a gun out. So it's very, very tricky to go to people's homes. So in good neighborhoods, it's safer, of course, which is the case here, but there are here we have good neighborhoods where there are wealthier people living, they're more educated, and then we have neighborhoods where there are the redneck type of people, the old school cowboy type of people. They're not very educated, they're very religious, so they always take the most offense. So when you have something to tell them, when you have to correct them with something, they take terrible offense. So I don't recommend for people to do it. But, it is okay to maybe write down someone's address and send them a letter with information. And if you don't want a confrontation, don't give them your return address or email address maybe. But it would be good to give return address, or maybe not your physical return address. That might be very unsafe. So, but your email address, and then you can offer them a dialogue on this. But if they become aggressive, then they're not even attuned to hear your message. So, but as an animal mother, I'm the mother of all beings, I have to do something. I can't just drive by there and say, poor horse, poor dog, whatever, leave them to their mercy, do nothing about it. I can't do that. That's impossible for me to do it. I have to do something for that animal. I have to at least try, So, and later on, my friend Joanna told me that her horse died from loneliness. Okay, this is infinitely horrific, because that lady did not listen to me. I asked that lady to bring the horse a companion animal. Okay, so did I just say dog or horse? Oh, my brain is always so jumbled up. So, yeah, that female horse died from loneliness, and she did not give her a companion animal, and that's infinitely heartbreaking, and it is criminal. So, absolutely criminal of that lady to do that to the horse. That's horrific. So when people have one animal, I highly recommend to get a second animal of some type of animal that would work well with your animal. Okay, so 2 dogs, or maybe even dog and cat. If you have 1 guinea pig, I wrote about this in my pet health article that is out there. I have that on Blogger, either Blogger or WordPress. I have those. Those are very, very old articles that I have written over the years. So I've added things over the years. Started out when we were still living in LA. I started that pet health article. So it became a whole book. So, and I wrote about all of this, like when you have, and I got the idea because there was a lady who has written an article for PETA on like the basics of pet health, and I adopted many of these points, and then I widened it and I added more things to it. So, yeah, if you have a guinea pig, you need to have a second guinea pig, okay? And you have to have compatible animals. You can't put a rat and a guinea pig together. That usually doesn't work. I don't know, maybe if they're used to it from birth, then it might work. Or a cat and a guinea pig, a cat and a rabbit, when they're used to each other from birth, so then it might work. So particularly if the predatory animal is a baby animal, then they will get used to them and don't view them as prey. They get used to them and see them as family. And so that's very, very good, to do this, and don't have one individual animal. And dogs are particularly needy animals. So for any person who doesn't like needy, a dog is not. I'm not showing you.
Open the door. I'm going down.
Oh.
I have to open the
I'm not. I'm not opening the.
Don't let him out.
I'm not letting him out now. So a dog is particularly needy, just like a newborn baby, and they will be like this for the rest of their lives. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't want a needy animal, okay, so yes, he is gorgeous. oh, so gorgeous. So I don't recommend a dog, any type of dog, or wolf, or any canine, coyote, or fox, or fennec fox. I'm not gonna delete this video now, just because he happen to be in there for a split second. I'm not going. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. That goes too far, you know. That when he knows I'm making a video and then he doesn't want to be in the video, and I already try my hardest not to show him, but I cannot. My brain, it's too much. My brain. When I focus on a video, I cannot be constantly paying attention to this other person not wanting to be in the video. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm already trying really hard to do my very best to sway the camera away. But if he goes to the store and shows himself, then I can't delete this now. I'm not going to. And I don't like editing my videos. I'm too lazy for it. And I think that I don't like that when people edit their videos. I think people should show their awkwardness and their farts, their burps, their mispronunciations, their brain fogs, their brain blocks, and whatever, and saying the wrong words and whatever, you know. So accidentally saying a wrong word or stuttering, show it all, okay? We're all in the same boat here, you know, and you know it, and you are too. And then I see people, they make their supposedly edited videos, and they think this is now perfect, and picture perfect, and it's like ready for some kind of documentary film or something, and then in the end they show their what they call bloopers or whatever, or these videos that they started that didn't work out. Why do you even show it then if you edit it out in the first place? Show it in the whole video, make it holistic, right? And also it shows the context more, you know. My brain fog and blocks and insecurities, they are still part of my life, okay? I'm trying to work on it, I'm trying to get it better, but this is work in progress, you know, as everyone is. No one is perfected. No one has reached that plateau. If you have reached any kind of plateau in your personal development, you don't want to sit there for the rest of your life and just stay on that one plateau. Creation, which is the creation process of the infinite cosmos, it wants to keep going. It wants to grow even more, yeah? And you can call it perfectionism or perfectionalization. But I think rather than using the word perfection or perfectionalization processes, I think I would call it the creation process, you know? So it's growing. It's a growing process. So that's what it really is. And it's all part of us, okay? So if we are some kind of presenter of something, we shouldn't think for a second that now we have to be completely picture perfect with everything that we are doing in this video. That would be a lie to ourselves and a lie to the public. So I think everyone should be a little bit more laissez-faire, right? A little bit more leaned back about their presentation and their lifestyle and everything, you know. There's just one thing that I'm asking from everyone. Be absolutely immaculate in your health routine. So that's very important. Don't let yourself go in any bad direction. Okay, don't drink alcohol, don't take drugs, don't even take marijuana, particularly not smoking anything. Never smoke anything, okay? Stay away from tobacco products. If you feel the need for marijuana, make a tea with it, but only use a little bit of it. But there are better plants than marijuana or cannabis, okay? Better plants out there for that are not getting you addicted. So health routine has to be absolutely spot on, immaculate. It's very important because that's an act of responsibility for yourself, for your animals, for the whole world. Okay, that's what I'm talking about when I talked about the Jerry dilemma. You know, you tell someone who is not on the right track, someone who's pathologically greedy, someone who is a con artist, someone who's doing this or that, or someone who is not paying attention to their health. You tell them there is the abyss of the Grand Canyon, stop right there and make a U-turn and come back to base camp. Okay, so, and do it right. And then from base camp, go into the right direction. That does not go towards the cliff. So you have to do it, okay? We have the responsibility to tell people, we have the responsibility to tell ourselves, and to be as immaculate in our health routine as we can possibly do it. Okay, it's very, very important. And making artwork is part of that. That's my personal belief. Okay, so I highly recommend to every single person to make an art project. Make something, an alien spaceship, or Dr. Stephen Greer doesn't like the word alien, he likes the word ET better. Extraterrestrial, that is not as discriminatory as alien. You know, I'm an alien from Germany, so I don't worry. I'm not worried about the word alien. But you know, of course, that's always relative. Where is that alien from? From out of space, or from Germany, or from the Middle East, right? Take your pick which one you want to bring into the United States. I'm sorry. So, I mean well with all of that, okay? So, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to pick on anyone. I mean, I let people make that judgment for themselves. Seriously, yeah. I mean, there may be some aliens from outer space that want to create an alien dictatorship here, and they'll incarcerate women and put them into sex slave, human trafficking prisons. Those wouldn't be so good, right? So, yeah, I'm not even getting into the other two examples right now. I let you make that judgment for yourself. And whoever is a criminal, you already know what you're doing, right? So I don't need to tell you. I don't need to tell you that what you're doing is wrong. You need to come all the way back to base camp, and this time go in the right. My brain reverses things, and then go in the right direction. Okay, so that's what you have to do. It's very, very important. So in a way, making these videos is kind of therapeutic for myself, because I am learning as I'm going. I am learning to have a little bit more trust in myself, to have a little bit more trust in making mistakes, have a little bit more trust also in you and in the audience, you know. So I mean, there are plenty of haters out there, and they have been harassing and they have been torturing me and tormenting me for over 10 years. And maybe in some kind of roundabout, weird way, although I suffered a lot, let's not underestimate this here. I had 2 suicide attempts because of them. So that is not minute. That is not a minor type of suffering or offensiveness from their side. Violence, psychological violence from their side, okay? Psychological violence is real violence. But me, and I'm not even comparing myself to all of those other victims that are out there in the world, because I have a tremendous advantage over them in the way that I have, my whole life is geared towards growing, learning, and self-healing. Constant self-healing, and I have the blue God on my side, and I have this knowing, and I'm the messenger, and I have an immunity. So a lot of people don't have that. I'm sure there are probably people who have it, okay? There are many other people. I mean, still, compared to 8 billion humans, there may be only 1,000 people on this planet that have that connection, right? But there are people that have that connection. But the people that haven't found this connection, there are people, even children, that their brains are so crowded with pleasing their peer groups and so on, that they get on the wrong track very early on already. And then they're tormented. And particularly if they're very naive or even kind-hearted, they get tormented to death, where these kids commit suicide. So this is real serious, all of this. Real serious. For anyone who's torturing people, stop right there. Come back to base camp and then go into the right direction. And don't ever hurt another living being again. Don't ever let it out on another living being. Don't ever let it out on an innocent child on the internet, or a woman, or another, whatever, mafia person even, another criminal that you also make each other's lives hard. So most of these offenders are men, okay? So don't hurt anyone, ever, okay? Most victims are women and children. So this is real serious what's going on. And that's not some kind of like putting this behavior on into the drawer of masculinity. It doesn't belong into any drawer. Okay? It doesn't belong into like this is your masculinity vanity or something, or your masculinity pride. Okay, that these two things are not belonging together. Okay, violence is not equal to masculinity. There are violent women too. It just so happens that the majority of violent people are men. Okay, and that probably has to do a lot with testosterone and with the wrong mind state. And with just more aggressiveness, and then acting out the aggressiveness more, and the frustration. And men suffer more, also much more than women, unfortunately, that they then have this upper hand with more physical strength to actually get away with this type of behavior. And many of them go to prison, of course, but they get away with it in the moment, in the momentary situation where the woman or the child doesn't have that much physical strength, so they're being overpowered. And then, which gives that perpetrator that the idea that they can get away with it. But I'm always swaying way out. But all of this ultimately always belongs together, So my message to people, for any kind of violent person, if you are a violent person, you cannot have an animal. You can't. That would never work for an animal. That would never work for any animal. I've heard the most horrific stories, the most horrific criminal cases out there because of my activism. Okay, horrendous animal cruelty cases that are out there, and cruelty against women and children. I see it all. And I think we should inform ourselves on who the criminals are. We should study their faces very carefully. Okay. On the internet, we already know they are woke. They do not want to show the actual statistic. They refuse to show the actual statistic that's out there. Which faces are falling into the actual statistical graph? Okay. Where is the majority? Who are the majority of the criminals? Okay. People don't want to show it because they don't want to be race prejudiced. But I'm sorry, I have to say it, but the majority of criminals are brown-skinned men. Okay. And that's the fact. That's a fact of statistics. I'm not making this up. You can read it for yourself. You go to the police department, the crime unit, and they have the statistics there for you. Okay, so it's not something that someone would just make up in order to be race prejudiced. Okay, it is a fact, and we need to look at the facts, and we need to be very consciously aware, and then we need to ask the question, so if we want to fix the situation, what is necessary to fix that situation? So we need a complete prison reform also for this. And I know there are some good people that want to bring dogs from an animal shelter, dogs on death row that are usually his type, that are pit bull type of dogs that are full of scars, and what a horror, and they're on death row for being innocent and kind-hearted. Actually, it's actually the good Samaritans like him that don't want to go against another dog. Okay, that would not be suitable for the dog fighting gang member stuff. And it's those that end up on death row. It's all completely twisted and wrong. But it is also really, really terrible of some people that want to help the prisoners and bring them a dog. It has always gone wrong. Okay, they bring a prisoner a dog on death row so that the prisoner can learn love. The prisoner is not going to learn love. In most cases, the prisoner ends up killing the dog in prison. Okay, not a good idea. Or torturing the dog. Not a good idea. Okay, there are very, very violent people that can never even be released back into the public. Never. Okay, so that's why I'm for the death penalty. And the word penalty is it's the wrong word. Okay, the word euthanasia is much better. Okay, people euthanize violent dogs. Any violent dog that comes into the animal shelter, after a while, after assessment and everything, they get euthanized. Okay, I don't know why I'm coughing now. I might have to get my thermos cup. with water. I also dusted this chair the other day with diatomaceous earth because I got bitten into the back by some kind of bug. I don't know if it was the kissing bug. I have no idea. But maybe some kind of bed bug was in there, or mites, I don't know. So I had to do some dusting here. And then that always goes into the lungs, and that's not very good. So also when you use diatomaceous earth for a dog, only use that on a dog when the dog actually has fleas. So not for ticks. For ticks, I recommend to put a little bit oil on. Paul is kind of allergic to oil. He has OCD with oil, so I have to compromise. And then what I do with that is I put baby powder on him. I massage him so that repels ticks. And if he actually he never had a tick yet, but if he had a tick, ticks are those that soak up with the blood of the animal. For those, you have to use specific dog tick remover or tick removing tweezers. I bought those in a pet store in LA a long time ago. They're very, very good, so they clamp down on the tick. It's a plastic thing that clamps down, and then you just twirl it. You twist it clockwise until the tick comes out. Don't pull on it. You just twist it clockwise, and then you see the tick's legs are coming out as well. So once the entire live tick is in that and moving with the legs, then you can flush that down the drain. Paul has fired them literally with a petroleum lighter, and they would pop. I don't think that's very good, that also exposes their particles into the air. I don't want tick particles in the air, so I think flushing them down the drain is better. They end up in the septic tank, or they end up in the sewage facilities, and there they get bleached and they get exterminated there. So that's probably the best thing to do, to flush it down the drain. It's very important information, all of this. So diatomaceous earth is very, very potent, a potent earth sedimentation layer. It is a very potent powder that I only recommend for like people that have sores or something. If they have terrible sores and the baby powder doesn't work good enough, then the diatomaceous earth is very, very potent for sores or any kind of, like, also even for babies, for kind of diaper rash and those kind of things. But always make sure that the dust doesn't get into the face of the baby or the animal, or into your own face. Okay, so the diatomaceous earth is very irritating for the lungs. So I don't think as bad as asbestos is, and that's why they outlawed asbestos, any kind of asbestos materials, home installation materials. So asbestos insulation plates, they have outlawed that because it is too unsafe for the lungs. People got very sick. So when they have long exposure to, many years exposure to it, it can cause the C word, I don't want to say it. So, and also fiberglass is very bad for the lungs. Fiberglass mats and stuff like this, very, very bad. Don't use those. That's not safe for your animals, not safe for you. I'm trying to pack everything into this video as I can even think about, as I can remember. All these things that are very, very important to pay attention to. So when the dog or cat, when they have fleas, when you see fleas on them jumping around, that's emergency, okay? you have to put diatomaceous earth on their back from the neck all the way to the tail. You have to massage that into the coat very, very thoroughly, okay? And also make sure that you massage that under the neck, and also with your, if you have it on your hands like this, but not too much, you massage that into the forehead, behind the ears, and under the belly, legs, everywhere, okay, the tail, and then you let that sit on the animal for a while, for a day or two, okay. Then you can give the animals a shower, and then you repeat that process. After they have taken a shower, you repeat that process with the diatomaceous earth. The coat can still be damp, doesn't matter. You repeat this process, okay? And then you leave that in just for good, yeah? And so it just shakes itself out automatically anyway. And then I also recommend to, if you have one of those rug sweepers, you know what a rug sweeper is? That's like a broom type of thing, but it has a case where the rug sweeper draws in, kind of like an upright vacuum cleaner has underneath these rolls, these broom rolls, where stuff gets rolled in and then also vacuumed in, of course. With the rug sweeper, there is no vacuuming effect. It only has the broom rolls, and it brooms it into the collection case that is on the ground, on the floor, and then it has a broomstick on the top so that you can roll it over the rug. And these are very practical. They save electricity. They are very eco-friendly, and I use them on a regular basis because, it doesn't do a very thorough job, but it does a good enough job to make the house feel clean. But obviously, it doesn't pick up things that are absolutely pushed into the corner, like so. I did the rug sweeping today. I did a good job and looks so much better, but obviously there are things that are in the corner that this thing does not pick up, because you can only roll it over the rug like this with momentum, and once it gets into the corner or reaches the cabinet wall, then it doesn't soak it up because it doesn't have a vacuum effect. So you have to pick these kind of things up by hand. But when you have a dog, the dog will chew things up again, particularly Staffordshire, Amstaffs. He's an Amstaff. They are heavy duty chewers. Okay, so they chew everything up. If you don't pay attention, they will chew your exercise bicycle up, your chair, your heater. That's dangerous also. They will chew electric cords, very dangerous. So when you have an American Staffordshire, you have to constantly be monitoring them. Constantly, particularly when they are babies. So when they are puppies. You can never leave them out of sight. Okay, not even for a second. Okay. But this also applies for all baby animals. Baby animals, baby dog, baby cat, baby human, baby horse, they have to have their mother or a surrogate mother, which is you, the adoptive parents. They have to have you there all the time to make them feel safe. This is very important information that I'm giving you. Very important information. For example, they have learned the hard way with baby otters, for example. when an otter in the ocean, those are aquatic animals, they are fish eaters, they are very, very good swimmers. They're usually hanging out in the water. They even sleep in the water, like with their belly up. And when they have a baby, the baby is on top of their chest at all times, okay? A baby otter, with that kind of evolution, would not survive without the mother being there, without being on the mother's belly. And so when they are, for example, at the marine mammal rescue aquariums, like the one in Monterey, animal rescue place there, when they find a baby otter where the mother has been killed, the people actually sleep on water beds with the helpers there, the volunteers. They sleep in that aquarium place on water beds with the baby otter on their belly. And that's the only way those baby otters will survive and grow up to be adults. And then that's the only way for them to even be nurtured to health and adulthood to be released. Okay, so this is also my message for anyone who has a marine mammal center. Very important, because I helped there and I have talked to people there and I volunteered there myself, and I saw with absolute horror that the people that are running, some people that are running the marine mammal centers that are all the way along the coast here in the Pacific Northwest. There's one in San Francisco, there's one in that area where we have the other house on the California side. I'm not going to say where it is. I can't for safety reasons. So I have helped them. I was talking to these people a lot. As an animal rights activist, I tried to also educate them. When you are dealing with a veterinarian or someone who has worked in those places for a longer time, or a veterinary assistant, any of these professional people, they will take terrible offense. It's almost never where you can actually talk sense into them, because the ego blocks that off. The brain is too crowded to take in actual, very reasonable advice, okay? Mother animal advice, okay? They will not listen, and it's very terrible, but we have to try anyway. We have to do what we can. I had to, okay? So, and I always will. No matter how offended people are, I have to educate people on the situation. So I did a lot of research on all of this, and I have the research authority to talk about this and make videos about it and give people advice. Okay, I really do. So the people in the marine mammal centers, the ones here, I don't even think that they rescue baby otters. They probably bring them to San Francisco or to Monterey or Carmel, those places. And those people know, if they don't give that nurturing, that baby otter will not make it. Okay, the shock, it will cause a shock in the nervous system, but it will also cause the same shock to a human baby who is not tended to. A human baby left alone in the baby bed, in the baby crib, okay? Mozart's baby, he had many babies. I wrote about this also in my article, because I think it's a very important example. And that was not Mozart's intention, because he was really a kind person. But they were utterly uninformed on how to nurture a child. They had no idea. The women were constantly giving birth. They didn't have birth control. means at all. And then many of them were way too young also. They had no idea. They were completely uneducated. And then they would have the baby there, and if the nanny wasn't there, then baby would be there for 2 days alone. And maybe the mother will go there to feed one time and then leave the baby alone again because she's too busy with other things. And then the babies die because they literally die from loneliness. Okay, this is very important information that I'm giving here. So, same for a dog. 100% the same. If particularly a newborn dog, okay, has to be on the mother's body, okay, drinking milk almost non-stop, sleeping and drinking milk from the mother's nipples, okay. The dogs have I don't know how many, 8. I'm not even totally informed, but he even has the males, as same with the humans. So males have the nipples too, but in the females, they get milk, and then the baby dogs have to drink the milk from the mother, and if they don't, they will not make it. Okay, very important information. And in those situations, maybe I'm not finished, I'm still making video. And in those situations where for example, if you find a situation that is a tragic situation where maybe you find, and that's how I think humans and wolves got together. So when you find maybe a dog mother that had passed away through some tragic situation, but she had just given birth, right? And there are the baby animals, and they are trying to drink the milk from the wolf, okay? But the wolf mother is no longer alive. Then the milk will not be coming out for very long, okay? So only for a little while. And if you find a situation like this, then you have to adopt these baby animals, wolves, dogs, coyotes, whatever animal you find. In Australia, wombats, they find wombat babies all the time, or kangaroo babies, and the list goes on, and Tasmanian devil babies, and the list goes on, okay? So you have to rescue them, and you have to get informed, and you have to give them formula milk that is specifically designed for that particular breed. Okay, you have to inform yourself. The most important thing here is the physical touch. That you become that surrogate mother. You become that mother to take the place of the real mother. Okay, you have to hold that baby animal on your chest in a baby carrier all the time. You cannot leave that baby unattended or on their own for any length of time. Okay, very important information that I'm giving you here, and this applies to all mammals. Okay, and also birds. It applies to birds, and with the reptiles, that's different. The reptiles they evolved in a way where they hatch from an egg. And like water turtles or frog eggs or whatever, they will hatch, and then they are already to the mercy of the elements, but oftentimes the mother, with egg-laying animals, the mother will protect the newly hatched babies for a while at least. A crocodile will take them into their mouths to protect them in the mouth of the crocodile, to protect them particularly at night from predatory animals that will come after baby animals. And all of this is happening. This is evolution, of course, but the mother instinct is there. The mother instinct goes much further than just mammalia. Okay, it goes into birds, goes into reptiles, goes into all kinds of living beings and ETs. I mean, it's just it's a natural development. Okay, this is trial and error of evolution. This is the mother instinct. Without the mother instinct, there wouldn't be evolution happening. Okay, so the mother has to be there to protect their newborn, innocent, and totally vulnerable babies. So, or they're not going to survive, obviously. So, very, very important information for newborn babies, particularly dogs and human babies and sea otters and many, many, many others. Those are highly sensitive beings. They need that mother love, having them on the chest at all times. At all times, And that's what I would do if I had a baby. I would always have that baby on my chest, non-stop. I mean, you have to do that, okay? No matter what you're doing. You could be dancing, you have that baby on you. Be grounding on the grass, you have the baby on you at all times. And nursing when the baby needs to drink the milk. Okay. Very, very important for all baby animals. So for those people that are busy, very busy, or where both parents are very, very busy, I do not recommend for them to have a dog or a baby. Human baby, dog baby, adopted human baby, Asian baby, black baby, white baby, Middle Eastern baby, mafia baby. Whatever type of baby. Alien, E.T., Stephen Greer uses the word E.T., so doesn't matter, So I don't recommend to people to bring a new baby into their lives. Okay, whether they give birth to the new baby or they adopt them, don't do it if you are busy, if you are working for 8 hours or 10 hours per day in an office, particularly not when the office is out of your house, and not even if you can bring your baby with you, because you're not going to be too attentive when you're doing your job. Okay, the baby takes precedence. The baby takes the priority. The baby is on the pedestal of all priorities. Okay, so that's the number one priority is the baby. That is the foundation to give the baby love and nurturing, so that their foundation of life, of existence, is set and safe, so that then again a healthy living being will evolve out of that situation. A healthy adult will come out of it. A healthy adult that will not have trauma from abandonment and goes into drug addiction or whatever. A healthy adult that feels grounded and safe in their own body and existence and brain. Okay, they don't have hypertension and anxiety. Okay, which I had my whole life. I had to heal myself. I had to do everything I could to heal myself. And I did, and I'm still working on it. That's why I'm awkward. That's why my brain reverses words sometimes. That's why I have even verbal blackouts. I've had them many times when I'm surrounded by people, when their energies are around me, particularly men that have lust, then that is that can make me so nervous and shy that I can't even talk anymore. So that has happened many times, where one woman, she knew I was really bubbly, and there was my friend's son, my friend Rita's son, and real gorgeous guy, mulatto guy, and I had a crush on him, and he was there and he was looking at me, and I couldn't talk anymore. So, and that other lady, she started mocking me and said, "You're normally so bubbly. How come you don't talk right now?" And I was so embarrassed. I felt ashamed. Today I wouldn't be anymore. That was like 15 years ago. Today I would say, yeah, it's because of him. That guy there, he's making me nervous. Say it, we need to say it. Say it, say it, say it. That rules all misunderstandings out. That will also help that other person. Like, okay, now that helps him when I say that. So now he knows how nervous I am. Now he knows that's why I'm whatever I behave the way I behave. Not because I ignore him. Yeah, I'm nervous because he's there. So that's what we have to do. Very, very important. But yeah, that's because of my mental illness, my trauma that I've experienced with abandonment during infancy, that had caused me a lifetime of unimaginable suffering and trying to roll myself back up into alignment. Okay, my whole life. And that's why I have these insecurities. That's why I stutter. That's why I can't give presentations in school. All of that. Okay, so don't do that to your living being. Don't create another suffering existence. So I don't even want to try it at all, because I don't want to create another suffering existence. Although I would be an absolute mother hen, I'd be overprotective, right? So, which is good. There's nothing wrong with it. But I don't know. That could probably limit that child from experiencing things, and maybe that in itself might also be another trauma. So I don't know, but I'd definitely be overprotective. I couldn't do it any other way. So if I'm overprotective with an animal, that is only good for an animal. Okay, for a human, I don't know. Maybe if I'm overprotective with internet, and that'd be very, very helpful. But if I'm overprotective and I don't even let my child make experiences, and they're like Kaspar Hauser sort of, and they then get thrown out into the real world, then they don't have the skills of protecting themselves. So, but I don't know. I don't know if that would be not beneficial. So I can't really say. But that would be definitely a million times better to be overprotective than be underprotective. Okay, that's for sure. That's a fact here. Okay. So you have to be there with your animal, and when you have a new puppy, the puppy first of all a newborn puppy has to be with the mother. Okay? If there is a breeder or any person who backyard breeder, I highly recommend to stay away from those people. You need to adopt an animal from the animal shelter. This is a must do if you have compassion. Okay. Don't buy a dog from a breeder. Okay. You have to adopt a dog from the animal shelter. There are dogs that are waiting for a loving home. Okay. If you don't adopt them, they get euthanized. Okay. Eventually they have no other choice. Okay. And the no-kill shelters, they can only adopt that many animals until they are stuck at a specific plateau, right? no-kill shelter. So then what happens? Then they can brag all they want, you know. What happens to all the other babies that are found in the gutters? They're not going to take them in, okay? Is that good? No, it's not, okay? So obviously not. Obviously doesn't work that way. You can still say, yeah, you're in a no-kill shelter, but that's just a little notch better than being just a family who adopts a bunch of animals, right? And at some point you can't adopt any more animals because that wouldn't be workable anymore, okay? So we have to have regular animal shelters that are eventually gonna have to make room for new incoming desperate puppies and kittens that need help, okay? Absolutely 100%. Okay? I've been through all of this. I've observed all of this. I've seen all of this. And terrible heartbreaking situations that I had to witness in person, you know, where I found a cat in front of someone's door. That was during the winter time, that the cat wanted in that house. And I finally knocked on the door. That guy looked like he was some kind of drug dealer. He was very angry that I was interrogating him. And he said that cat doesn't live there. And I said, but how come the cat wants to get into that door, right? The cat obviously lived there before he moved in there. The people moved out, abandoned the cat, and just let the cat there, living there in that neighborhood, and just didn't take the cat with them. So the new people move in, they're drug dealer type of people. They don't want the cat. They have that. He even told me he has dogs in the backyard, and who knows, they're probably on chains. Who knows what's going on there, right? He doesn't want the cat in his house. The cat wants to go in there because the cat used to live there. So I called up the only animal shelter here. Back then, at that time, they only had one animal shelter that would take cats, and they were a no-kill shelter. They already had 100 cats, and that was the maximum limit. And they have been at that maximum limit for years. So what am I going to do with this poor cat? We couldn't take the cat. We had a Great Dane at that time, okay? And the Great Dane would not tolerate a cat. So what are we going to do about that situation? I tried everyone. I called everyone. Nobody could take the cat. Eventually, and I think it was only a week or two after I talked to this drug addict guy, that we saw that same cat dead, with blood coming out of her. I think it was a female cat. Blood coming out of her mouth on the sidewalk, not far from his house. And so what I think happened is he got mad at the cat, and he probably slammed the cat against the wall or floor. Who knows what he did. That the cat had internal bleeding and died. And then he just threw the cat out the window of the car, just dumped the cat in the neighborhood on the sidewalk, because he has absolutely no empathy, that guy. His brain is full of drugs and just greedy and callous and cruel. So when I saw the cat there, I told everyone because the no-kill shelter couldn't take the cat. That's why the cat was brutally murdered. Okay, so I made sure that this cat's message got around to other people, but nobody listened. Nobody listened. No one was willing to take that message. You know, they would all go, "No, we need a no-kill shelter. No-kill shelter. Everyone, no-kill shelter." it's not feasible. It doesn't work, obviously. Okay, so that's why I'm saying, please, if you have a heart, adopt a dog or a cat from an animal shelter. Okay, so that they have another chance for a life, for an existence with love and happiness. Okay, and to give room to yet another beaten down puppy or kitten that needs to come into the animal shelter, to be taken care of, to have a vet look after them, to have another chance for another adoptive mother. Okay, so that's the only way it works. Why feed into the same cycle of suffering by looking for a pure breed animal and then buying from a pure breed breeder? Then you just cause more suffering down the line by doing this. As much as I wanted a European Basset Hound, and I was so close to buying one from one of the breeders. I was so close, but then Paul kept telling me, don't do it. I was so addicted to that dog. I needed a European Basset Hound. It would have saved me from suicide attempts if I had gotten one. If Kyla and Maggie had let me adopt that Sarge, that they had a fully European Basset Hound from Gretchen, and that needed a home, and they refused to let me adopt the dog. And that's because they saw my Facebook account, they saw the stuff that I posted there, my mental illness and all of that. So they hadn't seen all of that when we adopted the Papa dog from them. So they hadn't seen all of my when regular people see my Facebook account, they see me being outspoken, they see the stuff I say, the stuff I believe in. They see that, for example, also that Paul and I fight sometimes, but it's gotten much, much better now with the fighting, and we're very, very careful. We always put our dog above our own feuds and our own struggles and so on. The dog is always number one priority, and we always remember, if we argue, we always remember we have to tone it down, not argue so much, and we have to work on ourselves just for the animal, so that the animal doesn't have to be in the midst of our argumentation. Okay, very, very important information also, again, okay. So, but then Gretchen sold the dog to people who were not just arguing, but where there was violence in the house. And that's why that Sarge ended up having to be rescued and ended up again with Kyla and Maggie, with the foster parents. So, the foster mothers. So that's why Sarge got back into their place, because Gretchen didn't pay attention to who she sold the puppy, Sarge, when he was a puppy, whom she sold the dog to, obviously two dysfunctional people. Yeah. So that he developed an immune problem and hyper nervousness and anxiety and all of that. Then instead of doing it holistically, Kyla and Maggie gave him pharma medication. All of this is wrong. All of that is wrong. Okay. And then I just pray to the blue God that whoever adopted him has a peaceful home. Okay, that's all I can say to this, because I know in my home, in my life, Sarge would have been able to heal without the pharma drugs. I know this 100%. okay? Because I would have been sleeping with my arm around him in my bed. I would have done everything. I would have never left him unattended. I would have always been there for him. And he and I, we could have saved each other. Okay. But it is what it is. So they didn't want to adopt the dog to us anymore, and I needed a European Basset Hound. And they are specialized in adopting, in fostering European Basset Hounds. And then she even told other people not to adopt me a dog. And I think that's real heartbreaking. So even though she knew how I was suffering, so I have to criticize this, I have to. So, but anyway, and then we had to go through this heartache with the other animal shelter that's in that area near the other house, and that the guy who runs it, he hates us because he hates animal rights activists, and Paul told him we are animal rights activists, which was a big mistake because that guy is a redneck, religious asshole, and 400 pounds or something, and he hates Paul, and he hates animal rights activists, and he would just refuse to adopt a dog to us. So that was very heartbreaking, because there was one dog in particular that looked like him, that was extremely beaten up and with extreme anxiety, so to the point where he couldn't even walk. He would cower down on the ground. I wanted that dog so much. I wanted to help the dog heal. They refused to adopt the dog to us. Heartbreaking, all of this. So, but then in this area here, there is another animal shelter. And the lady who runs that animal shelter is fantastic. And she's an animal rights activist, and her husband too. And they immediately saw that we're caring people. And she tried to get us the dog that we were looking for, European Basset Hound. They didn't have any, of course. So, and then we kept checking in with them. And so then we checked in one more time, and there he was. They brought him into that visitation room, and he crawled into my lap and leaned his pumpkin head on my belly and on my chest, and I said, we have to take him home, I didn't know how difficult American Staffordshire Terriers are at that time. So if I had known, I don't know if we would have done it. But that is not a retirement dog. So we wanted a retirement dog. And not only that, they said he's 5 years old. No, he was like 7 months old, okay? With sparkling white baby shark teeth, okay? And he wasn't even fully grown yet. So since we adopted him, he had grown by a third. And so when you have a baby, we weren't even prepared anymore for a baby animal. We had to do potty training, we had to do all of that, So we have to constantly monitor him, because he would chew everything. He was teething when we got him. When the teeth are growing, the dogs have to chew on things. And I recommend sticks from the garden. That works the absolute best. That's much better than rawhide. It's much better than cow bones or any of these toys, dog toys. Many dog toys, they are actually toxic. It's not even good for the dogs. So just sticks from the garden, driftwood on the beach, or any kind of branches that have fallen that you can smooth out with a fire. You have to break off like extra sharp thorns or sticks, and you have to fire that a little bit and make it rounded, and then give it to the puppy or adult dog to chew on, and they really love to chew on branches, branch sticks and stuff like this. So that works very, very well. So for house training, first of all, only people who are at home 24 hours per day can have a puppy. Okay, very, very important. You have to be with the dog at all times. And when we go shopping, one is always with the dog waiting in the van. Okay, one waits in the van with him, and the other one goes shopping, and we take turns. And that's the only way we can do it. Okay, and if you're alone, maybe you can bring your dog into the store, and you can carry the dog. If the dog is a small dog, you can put the dog in a pet carrier, in a baby carrier, on the chest. There are certain backpacks and stuff, or cloth materials that you can use for putting the animal into that and carrying the animal on your chest, or certain carrier backpacks where the dog can see out. So my friend Rita had that with her Pomeranian. I thought that's really great, so that she could take the dog everywhere she went, and that's really, really fantastic. And that's a must do, particularly for a puppy, but for the dog is always your child. So the dog is always needy and gets scared when you leave. So you have to always be with your dog all the time. Okay, this is something people need to know before they get a dog. It's very important information. So for house training, you have to, when the dog makes poo-poo in the house, you have to pick this up. You have to rush the dog gently, not harshly. You have to rush the dog outside. You have to show the dog, here is where I place the poo-poo on the lawn. Okay, this is where that belongs. And you repeat this, and every time, and when you see the dog is getting ready to make poo-poo, you have to rush them outside, and then praise them when they go outside. Okay. If they make another accident, you pick it up, you show the dog. And you have to be very persistent, very consistent, and very patient with that. And loving. Okay, very important not to traumatize the animal. Very persistent with this. And one has to always be with the dog and making sure, always watching. Okay, 24 hours. If you can't do it, don't get a dog. Okay, this is a must. Okay, this is a mandatory mandate that I'm giving here to the world. Okay, you have to do this. And we even house trained a deaf albino Great Dane puppy. Okay, that was very, very, very difficult to do. And I don't recommend it to people. Okay, unless you are a complete 150% dog lover, at home mom all the time, ultra compassionate empath, and ultra patient person, then unless you're a person that is this empath, I don't recommend for people to adopt an albino deaf dog, because house training with them is 100 times more difficult and takes longer. It took him half a year. Took him a week, maybe not even a week. There are very, very smart dogs. The American Staffordshire, very, very smart dogs. They have a big pumpkin head. Okay, there's a lot of brain activity going on. They learn very fast. But you have to be persistent and gentle and loving. Okay, they're highly sensitive dogs. These are particularly sensitive. That's why they are very needy and very, very heavy chewers. They're very hyper, and they are very hyper kissers. So they want to kiss all the time. They kiss for an hour straight until your skin is sore. Yeah. They lick your face until the tongue hurts, it becomes abrasive. So heavy kisser. But that also has to do with infinite gratitude. That has to do with never wanting to lose that new mother. Okay, that has to do with wanting to please. That has to do with hyper anxiety. It has to do with trauma. Okay, those are the dogs, unfortunately, the very most sensitive ones that have been traumatized the most. Even, yeah, it's heartbreaking to see this. Okay, that's why it is very important that people adopt a dog. Okay. So make sure you can adopt in the region that you live. Make sure you can have a pit bull type of dog. Make sure that there's no ordinance against these type of dogs, because there are some regions now in the United States, some states that are not allowing certain type of pit bull dogs or Staffordshire dogs, okay, or American Bully. I just heard from Paul recently, this Muslim prime minister in England is now starting to outlaw certain dog breeds, including American Bully. Okay, so heartbreaking. When I heard that, I got very angry, because the American Bully those are very, very loving dogs, just as the American Staffordshire and the Pit Bulls are very, very loving dogs. Okay. They are even he is loving with other dogs. The American Bully is very loving with other dogs, with all animals actually. They're very safe dogs, American Bully. And they have a lot of English Bulldog in them. The English Bulldog is a very, very condensed dog, very, very hyperbred into a very, very stocky, very short-legged and very fat-bodied dog with a recessed face. So American Bully have very high percentage of the English Bulldog in them. That's why they are much more mellow. They come after the English Bulldog. English Bulldogs are very, very mellow. So the only time when they get excited is when they see a prey animal like a rabbit. So then you have to be very careful. You can't let them loose around someone's pet rabbit or rat or guinea pig, because I think they would go after them. And the American Staffordshire, they are going after cats. So these are things to keep in mind. The video is already very, very long. I think I put it all in so far, and I will also add more stuff to this information that I bring to the public in my future videos. I highly recommend for people to cook the food, cook rice and oatmeal for the animals instead of buying dog food. We have one good dog food there that's from the Honest Kitchen. This is hyperinflated price. Most people can't afford it. So good dog food, ethical dog food is hyperinflated in price. So then what good does it do if almost nobody can afford it, right? So, and I told Paul I don't want to buy any dog food anymore. I want to cook the food. I want to cook rice and oatmeal and then you can put like shredded carrots, or better even, you blend carrots with water and you pour that into the rice and mix that up. And also, before I forget it, you see that's what the American Staffordshire does. They tear things up. Okay, so that's why we give him cardboard boxes to tear up, and we give him sticks, and so he chews all of that and he tears the cardboard boxes up. He loves to do this. So this is very important to do. Yes. And so before I forget it, we give the dogs and ourselves, okay, this is universal for all living beings, we give like a 1/4 teaspoon of kelp seaweed powder mixed into the dog food, and 1 teaspoon or half a teaspoon, but I recommend 1 teaspoon, even a large teaspoon of diatomaceous earth powder mixed into the dog food. Make sure that the dog food has a lot of moisture in it so that it will absorb this powder, because you don't want the powder to be breathed into the lungs. So I always mix it into, when I use kibbles, I put water in with it and then mix it all up so that he doesn't breathe in the diatomaceous earth powder, so that it is bound into the moisture, into the water. Or if you have fresh rice that is very moist, then mix the powder into that. So yes, he's becoming a little bit hyper now. He wants me to do something. I think he wants me to give him the supplements now, and that's what I'm gonna do. So take care, love and peace.